Hello and welcome to Mythical Meeples. Today I'll be reviewing Daybreak, a cooperative game from CMYK and the creators of Pandemic, Matt Leacock and Mathieu Menepace. So as I said before, Daybreak is a cooperative game where players are working together to prevent and reverse climate change and decarbonise the world. This may sound grim. Playing board games is a form of escapism which should take us away from the real world, but in Daybreak you'll be able to change your world and perhaps find some hope. By working together, you can restore the rainforest, reduce pollution, and build a better, cleaner society. Additionally, the game is made without plastic or harmful textiles, instead using FSC certified wood and paper products. In this review, I'll be going over 5 different categories, giving them each a rating out of 10, followed by my final thoughts. So the first category is setup, then we're going to see mechanics, scoring, speed, and replayability. So for setup, I give it a 5 out of 10. So setting up Daybreak isn't too difficult, but it can be a little bit time consuming. Each player takes their individual boards and then places tokens on them according to their reference cards. They also place tree and ocean tokens on the board, like this, the number of which is determined by which boards are in play. So having separate pots for your tokens is the best way to keep your tokens, make it easier to set up each game, as it'll be easier to find each individual token. Additionally, when you're setting up the game, you'll have 3 sets of cards to shuffle. So you've got the global projects, which are in here, along with the crisis cards, which you'll need to shuffle, and your reference cards. And then in this set, you have your local projects and starting cards. It's about 100 local projects, a few more, and you need to shuffle up as well. Whilst there are relatively few global projects and crisis cards, there are a lot of local projects, and shuffling them can be somewhat slow. So these are just a few examples of your local projects, which you can see here. And then your individual ones are all marked in a different colour. So you've got China, United States, Europe, Solo, and Majority World. So depending what boards you end up with, this might be what your starting world board looks like. Everything starts on the very left. You've got your round marker, which has drawdown on the back for your win condition. You've got your temperature bands, which go on like so. Geoengineering dice, and your weather dice. So there are a lot of rules to learn in Daybreak, as you can probably guess just by seeing these different pieces here. And this can make the game feel quite convoluted, especially to new players. However, each turn is broken down into 5 stages, which you can find on the back of your reference card. So you've got global, local, emissions, crisis, and growth. And those are your 5 stages. Each individual stage is then broken down into 5 into further phases between 2 and 4, as you can see here. So the reference cards provide a brief list of each stage, which can be found in more depth within the rulebook. Individually, each stage is very simple, but the complexity comes from adding them together, along with trying to win the game, as you'll need to play out your turns as you play. So like adding crisis cards and starting your global projects, really easy to learn. Drawing your local project cards is really easy. Your playing cards and taking actions is where things can get really complicated, because you create stacks of cards with which you can do different things, and you can do multiple actions in the same turn. So just to give you some examples of the different cards, this one, you discard a card, you gain an infrastructure resilience per money tag you have in the stack. So for instance, if you had these cards, you would have 2 money tags in your stack and gain 2 resilience. And you can do this, as there's no restrictions, as many times as you like. This card, you can increase your energy demand to remove 1 car emission or transportation emission, and you can do this once per regulation tag you have in your stack. So for instance, you would be able to do this one if you had this stack of cards once per turn. This is a creates clean energy for you per nuclear tag you have in your stack. So you'll get 2 per tag. You can see here it has a requirement and a limit. So you can do this once per round. So if you've done it once in a round, you can't do it again. And you really need these things to be able to use this card. So as you've got this card, which has both of these tags, you can do it. If you had one or none of those tags, you wouldn't be able to do it at all, but you would still be able to do it if those tags came from different cards, like so. This card, for instance, requires you to have these tags in your stack. If you have none, 1 or 2, it does nothing. If you have 3 or 4, you can put 1 ocean down. 5+, you can put 2, and again, this is once per round. So as you can see, each individual card is very simple, but you might want to play more than one card. So you could put this at the bottom of your stack, increase your energy demand, remove your card emission, and then play this over the top. So overall, I give the mechanics a 7 out of 10. As I said, there's a lot of rules to learn, but they all have sort of very similar setup. So now we're on scoring. I give this a 10 out of 10. Daybreak is a win or lose game. Players win or lose together as well, as this is a cooperative game, and there actually isn't any scoring to do. There are a few different ways to lose the game, so you will have to be aware of these when playing. So if you reach round 6 and haven't won, you will lose. If you have all 8 temperature bands on the thermometer field like so, you will lose. And if you have 12 community in crisis, which are these, all the way up to here, you'll lose as well. So speed now. I give this a 4 out of 10 on speed. So Daybreak is an in-depth strategy game. If you're looking for something quick to play, then this isn't the game for you. You'll need around an hour to play a game Daybreak, so you will have to dedicate that time. Alternatively, you'll need a place where you can leave your game out and come back to it. As we saw before, the turns are broken down into phases, so there's nothing stopping you from leaving the game after turn 2 and continuing the next day or later that same day. So replayability. I give this a 9 out of 10 on replayability. So despite its low scoring in some areas, I found Daybreak to be a great game to play over and over. Due to the randomness of the cards and the dice rolls, each game you play will be different from the get-go. Additionally, you're able to add challenge cards to make your game easier or harder to suit, which you can see here. So you can make it easier with the ones that have the plus, harder with the negatives. You've got ones that just add variety, ones that affect everyone, and then the ones that just affect individual players. If you're playing with 2 to 4 people as well, you'll have a choice of different boards you can play as Europe, China, United States, and Majority World. And just by looking at them here, you can see that you've got different starting resources, and your cards are different as well. So what you're looking at here is for solo play. So what are my final thoughts? Wow, really? This game is incredible. It's a simple yet elegant design, and the gameplay, though complex to start with, it becomes almost second nature after 2 or 3 playthroughs. For your first game, I recommend learning the rules instead of focusing on strategy. Play each turn through in order, using the book to explain what you do in each stage. Daybreak has become an instant hit in our house, and winning our first game was incredibly satisfying after several crushing defeats. It's also a rewarding to play a game where you can make a huge difference to this fictional world, changing your chosen society for the better. If you're fans of games such as Pandemic or Forbidden Island, then you'll most likely enjoy Daybreak. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, hope you found it helpful. If you do, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It's always good to hear your feedback, and this also helps me be seen by more people. Especially helpful as I'm trying to work out how I want my style of board game reviews to go. So hearing what you think works well and what didn't work well would be really, really handy. If you want to see more from me, then you can head over to mythicalmeeples.com. There's loads more board game reviews on there, as well as 40k content, D&D content, and loads of other things. You can support me as well by becoming a patron. There's a link in the description below for that. and you'll also get access to extra content, sneak previews, and behind the scenes. Once again, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.